Yeah, what a perfect time, as you said it, David, because I'm now joined by the head of one of Japan's largest shipping and logistics company, Jotaro Tamura, CEO of Mitsui O.S.K. He just took the helm on April 1st, so I want to say congratulations on your new post, but at the same time, I know that you're facing unprecedented times. How's the business going right now with the impact from the Iran war?
Yeah, good morning, Sherry. Yeah, it's very difficult times for everyone, not just for us. The situation literally changes every day. Yeah, so the temporary ceasefire said to be yesterday is basically a good news for us, but it's temporary and for 2 weeks. So what we are doing is to verify the conditions that whether the ships can go through the straits. Yeah, so hopefully the vessels in the Gulf can move now, but then after 2 weeks, then we have to see what are the situations there. So we are still in a very much in between.
What are you hearing right now? Because I think a lot of the challenge has been understanding this ceasefire, especially given that Iran says that they still need to get permission from them in order to pass the Strait of Hormuz.
It's just within 24 hours. So we are really in the process to verify the situations. So it's a bit too early to tell, but I expect in coming days, then we see what it means to us, and then I expect the shipping lines can take actions.
What do you need to see in that ceasefire in order to feel comfortable to let your vessels pass by?
It's the high-level agreement we can see from all the reports. So how it is implemented in the water, that's something that we really need to understand. So, yeah.
We already heard, though, that you had a few vessels passing through the strait already, especially this week. Is that correct?
The couple of vessels have had a chance to go through, but that's an individual situation, and we can't really make any comments because we are setting the priority on the security of the each individual vessels. So in order to avoid any impacts to them, so that's how we describe the situation at the moment.
Because you also had a cargo container ship also hit last month, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So are you getting the approval from the Iranian side of things?
The vessel, the container ship in question, is still in the Gulf, and we are waiting to resolve the situation. Yeah.
With the Iranian authorities?
Well, we are obviously the main counterpart for us is the Japanese government. Yeah. So then we are working with them very closely to find out the situation.
Do you have to pay a fee in order to transit right now?
We are not really involved in the government the relationships. Yeah.
Is that a concern, though, that we're hearing that perhaps Iran wants to make this systematic toll in order to be able to transit the Strait of Hormuz?
We see all these informations back and forth, but it is not really for us to make any comments on this. So. Yeah, we are waiting for the situations really at the moment.
We heard that the Prime Minister Takaichi has actually spoken to the Iranian president. What else do you need to see from the Japanese government?
So we are actually waiting for the feedback from the government side. So I believe it's under development at the moment. Yeah.
How many vessels do you have around the area?
We are not disclosing the number of vessels because of the security as a top priority. But we understand that government we understand that government recognizes that 42 vessels in the Gulf as the Japan-related vessels, and we are some of them is actually ours. Yeah.
Given that we don't know how the ceasefire will unfold, how do you mitigate the situation? Are you finding alternative routes, and what does that mean for your bottom line in terms of costs?
Well, the vessels at the moment, let's say the vessels within the Gulf at the moment, it's a top priority. So hopefully the developing situation allows us to move them after this 5-6 weeks of waiting time. Yeah, but then we really have to see the situation, how that develops after these 2 weeks. Then, yeah, that's a very big thing for us as a next step. Otherwise, the situation wouldn't be that unsustainable. So, yeah, we need a sustainable stability for continuing sending the vessels. So that's the really key thing.
Because the issue is not the strait is open or closed, right? It's the feeling of comfort and safety for your vessels and crew. At what point and what variables do you need to see in order to decide this is okay?
Well, that's a difficult question. Yeah, I mean, as I say, then at least there's a kind of agreement for short term now. But the key for us is how it's implemented in the water. So yeah, we really have to see that. Yeah.
The costs associated with insurance, with fuel surcharges, what are you seeing on that side, and how will that affect your business, especially given that you just announced your 5-year plan last week, right?
Yeah. There's a very short term, and long term, in my view. Yeah. The very short term is the things like we have to save the situations for the vessels and currently in the Gulf. Yeah, so hopefully that will have a positive impact from the announced ceasefire. Short term, obviously, the world is being impacted by the lack of the oil transport and some other materials. So I think it's to quite an extent inevitable that the shipping market has to be bearing the reactions of the shortage, possible shortage of the bunker. Then it works as a restrictive for the supplies to the market. Yeah, so we already see some of the segments are in terms of the freights is upwards. Yeah, so that's probably the short term. But for long term, what can be seen is that if this is really prolonged, then the impacts to the manufacturing industries and so on. So quite possibly the volume of the cargo can go up and down, and then it's probably down first. But afterwards, then all the industry will have to look at the supply chain resilience, and so it's quite possibly that means more stock and the more purchase to refill what has gone down. So I would anticipate for mid-long term, it's probably quite up and down.
Just quickly, given that, of course, we have the tariff situation in the background as well, and activist investor Elliott coming out saying that you need to be more aggressive on your shareholder return plans, how difficult and challenging is the situation at the moment right now to be able to do that?
I see that shipping market by nature is up and down, but because of this geopolitical impact, for in coming years, it can be more up and down or more volatile. But what it means to us is that for last 3 years, we have been focusing much more on stabilizations of our portfolio, meaning building the larger portion of more stable earning businesses.
Okay.
And that's I see that is more in a positive in the sense that under the current circumstances, that can function as differentiations of ourselves. So based on that, then we expect that we can take more positive on the shipping markets.
Right.
Yeah.
Jotaro Tamura, really good to have you with us in the Tokyo studio. He's the CEO of Mitsui O.S.K. Alliance as we continue to follow the latest developments around the Iran war. This is Bloomberg.